Welcome back, Life Sciences. I hope you had, a nice little break. Remember, stretch the legs, get the brain going, get the blood flowing. Don't forget, should I say, you had to do something for homework. Please go and find some lichen. Remember, after this, go and hunt for some lichen. Okay, guys, so what we've looked at so far, we've looked at the microorganism fungus, the fungi kingdom, and we looked at its structure and we looked at its characteristics. Now, obviously, one of the things about fungus is that it is parasitic. It needs to live on something to be able to get its food, and it usually causes a little bit of harm. But when we look at these, compared to viruses and compared to the bacteria, where we looked at the viruses, we looked at HIV, we could look at COVID. If we look at bacteria, we looked at tuberculosis. When we looked at the protists, we looked at malaria. The diseases caused by fungus are not as life-threatening. They can be a little bit uncomfortable, but they are quite easily treated if you do get it. So that's maybe on the good slide. Okay, there's a few things again, the words, the terminology that we're going to use, certain diseases or infections that you might not have heard before. So as we go through, pay attention to how we use those words, how we use those terms. Okay, guys, so what do we look at when we look at the diseases? Remember, we're following the same recipe each time. What are the effects and how do I manage it? Now, because these are not as deadly and as contagious, they can be as the others, the treatment of it sometimes is actually quite simple, and you don't always have to go to a doctor. Most of the treatments, you can go to your chemist, which is actually far more convenient. Okay, the first one we're going to look at, is called, thrush. There's various names for it: candida, yeast infection. And what exactly is it? Let's take a look. So guys, when we look at it, it's caused by, remember, we're looking at fungus. It's caused by the fungus Candida albicans. Now, the first one is unfortunately very common in women, because what happens is that in the female vagina, we need to make sure the fungus that's there actually kind of is kept in place by bacteria. So the inside of the female, the fungus and bacteria actually keep the female quite healthy. Now, basically what happens quite often is the bacteria we've got a lot of bacteria in us that is really important, and it keeps the yeast in check. And sometimes certain conditions, you might be sick or you might be on medicine or maybe you are pregnant, etc. And what happens is the bacteria isn't there anymore and the yeast grows. And if we call it, the yeast infection, you'll see that what happens is you have, when you urinate, it's quite burny, it might be itchy. Remember, it's the fungus growing there, it's causing irritation. I'm going to use the word irritation because that's exactly what it does, So we have a bit of a discharge as a female, This is always a sign that maybe something's wrong, If we have a look and we see that maybe in our panties there's something that shouldn't be there, that maybe we need to go and have a check-in. Also maybe, when we urinate, when we wee, what happens is there might be a lot of pain there. Now, as I said to you, it can be quite common in women. It's not necessarily a sexually transmitted disease either. Some women get it just by certain soaps, etc., that their body uses. A lot more common, yes, this is a really gross picture, is that we also, in our mouth, there's a lot of bacteria, and if we have a yeast infection, as you can see, it's this white. Much easier to see on the tongue because it's visible, whereas obviously for the female, it's internal. So you get these white bumps. It's sore, It's dry, it's gross. What happens is you might get a little bit of bleeding on the inside of your mouth here, But you will notice from the very thick whiteness on the tongue. And that's very often babies get it, right, if they given some kind of medicine. Antibiotics can cause this quite often because antibiotics kill bacteria. So if you have antibiotics, what happens is it kills all the bacteria, which you want to because it's infection, but sometimes that causes the fungus. So especially if you're sick, if you have antibiotics, sometimes the doctor says to you to take a probiotic, but a good probiotic, if you can't, is maybe to eat a lot of yogurt. Yogurt has got natural bacteria in it and it will get your body in tip-top shape again. Guys, as I said to you, the overuse of antibiotics, right, this is what causes it. In immune deficiency, it happens a lot. Remember, your immune system is there to fight infection. And if you have some kind of disease like HIV and TB, where immune system is down, it just means that this fungus, I'm going to use the word, it's opportunistic, right? It comes in, all right, because something in your body is not working, all right? It happens a lot to women who are under a lot of stress, right? Your body has a way of telling you that it's stress, and this could be one of the symptoms. Also, having a poor diet if you don't eat properly, right? And a lot of times eating also helps with your immune system. A poor diet also can mean that your immune system is not working as well, which makes it a lot more opportunistic. And guys, over here, I know there's warmth and moisture in the genitals. All right, it's the area down there, we need to, when we wash it, we need to dry properly. We need to be very careful about wearing, right, very tight pants, etc., for a very long time. We've got to make sure that we get air, fresh air, and we don't keep that, all right, that warm, moist air. Have a look. Where does fungus grow? Warm, moist, and dark, all right, which describes the mouth, all right, and the female vagina exactly. So we've got to try and keep things airy and light and much easier then. Make sure we dry after we bath, after we shower, etc. Okay, guys, and how do we treat it? Treatment is actually quite easy here. You have to go to the chemist. It's over the counter, right? It's what we call an antifungal cream, right? So if you've got, for example, it might be in your mouth. You can have a mouthwash, which you gargle, right? And it kills the fungus. Or if you, right, have a vaginal infection, candida, the thrush, the yeast infection, it's an ointment, right? A cream that obviously has to be placed, and that kills the fungus, right? Antifungal cream is going to kill the fungus. You don't need antibiotics. As I said to you, you can actually treat this by simply going to the chemist. Right, athlete's foot. Why is it called athlete's foot? Because generally athletes use public showers when they go to the gym, right, or they go swimming somewhere and they go afterwards and they go to the showers. And what is the showers? Dark, moist, and warm from all the heat, and the fungus is there, right, on the shower floor. So what does it do? If you have a look over here, right, the fungus wants to eat your skin. So what it does here in between your toes, warm, dark, and moist, the fungus starts to eat your skin. As you can see, it starts to itch, it dries it out, or you scratch it a lot, and with those scratching, you can make it bleed, all right? So it's uncomfortable. It's not going to kill you, all right, but it is going to make you uncomfortable. I don't know about you, but for me, there's nothing worse than itchy feet, wanting to scratch your feet. It's just the most uncomfortable thing ever. So, and the more you scratch, right, the bigger the blisters become, so you need to be obviously treated quite easily. Now, what you do, right, a simple thing, again, you go to a chemist, you go to Clicks, right, you can even go to any kind of supermarket, and they've got creams there. Right, again, an antifungal cream. You'll see, I think the names, I know I'm brand naming, but Lamazole or Mycota, right? And what that does is, it's again antifungal cream, but it's going to, very often it can be a powder, and it's going to dry up that fungus. It's going to kill it, right? And that is obviously going to get rid of it. So, how do you not get it? Guys, dry your feet. Right, after you get out the shower, make sure your feet are dry. Right, so rub it with a towel or walk around with bare feet. Very often, sometimes, especially men, because they're the ones who wear socks and shoes straight from the shower. They put those socks on and the feet are warm, dark, and moist. Ideal if the fungus is there. Right, something that's not very easy to do, because I know you sometimes forget, but if you do go to public showers or if you go to the gym, I would suggest maybe just take a pair of shower slops with you, right? Obviously, then your feet won't come into contact with the fungus, and you're not going to get it that way. Then after you shower, what do? You dry your feet, right? You dry your feet. Okay, the next fungal disease is ringworm. Now, ringworm, people often think that it's caused by a worm. It's not. It's a fungus. Now, if you have a look, all right, it gets its name from it looks like a worm. All right, it's a round structure on your skin, okay, and it looks like this. Very often, you can get it in your hair, all right, on your head, and it actually forms all these bald patches over here. And as I said to you before, it is caused by a fungus here. Taenia corporis. The same as the feet one is also a Taenia pedis, feet. Right, so it's a fungus that is eating here, again, it likes the skin. Your skin has got protein, right? It's food, because your skin on the top layer over here, guys, you must remember this. This is dead, all right? It comes off, and it's nice food. If lots of it comes off in your bed at night, and it's in your sheets, and there's little hohos eating it, right? And this is exactly the same here. This fungus needs your skin. It needs, look at your hair, the protein, keratin. It's feeding off all of that dry skin on your scalp. It's really gross, yes. Okay, all right. Now again, very easy to treat. Antifungal cream. Go to the chemist, all right, and you just the same cream as we would have used right at the beginning when we had a look at the athlete's foot, etc. When we looked at the first one, when we had thrush, an antifungal cream, you just put it over the infection and it goes away nicely. It itches a bit, all right? I had one, I'm not going to lie to you. I got it from my cat. Cats have a really, all right, in their fur, right, one of the things you'll see here, don't touch pets. I didn't know it, and my cat used to, right, crawl up behind me, right, and lie next to my back, and that's where I got one. And it burns, and it itches, and it's not very pleasant. And all you do is you put a little bit of cream on it, and it goes away instantly. As I said, more of an irritation than it is anything else. Guys, also a very important thing when it comes to hygiene, don't share brushes with each other. Don't share clothes with each other, right? I know we often do. Must maybe make sure that the clothes are clean, that we wash, that we share things that are clean. So especially when it comes to those kind of things, maybe because the fungus can, right, be transported from one person to the other. Okay, now believe it or not, right, so do plants. Plants also get a fungal infection, and it's called rust. Now, I want you to have a look over here. So what it does is, this is what it looks like on the outside. It's brown. Now, have a look at this picture on this side here. This is the rust. Now, remember, it's a fungus. A fungus grows these hyphae, those threads, into the plant. Because what do they need to get? Glucose. Guys, they need food. But have a look here. All right. What plants are they growing to? Crops, wheat, mealies, etc., they destroy it, and crops are food, right? We cannot have a fungus infection, right, kill our food. If you have a look in the 1800s, you might, some of you might have read about it, that a fungus attacked Ireland's potatoes, was called potato blight, right? And an island was very, right, the island there in the UK, they relied heavily on potatoes, right, as an export to make money. and their whole potato crop, right, was destroyed by, right, this fungus. The people starved, right, the economy collapsed because they didn't have any money. So it caused a huge, big food shortage, famine, right, if the fungus is going to attack our crops. So what do we need to try and do? And here, guys, a lot of the thing maybe when you look at when you look at genetically modified organisms, when you look at genetics maybe in the grade 12 syllabus, what you're looking at here is you need to try and find a way to make the plants resistant to rust. And that's what we call a genetically modified organism. We change the genes of the crop so the rust can't attack. Right, we can also try and spray. If you spray in your garden, that's fine. But if we have to spray all of the crops, it's just far too expensive. So what farmers prefer to do, right, is what we call varieties that are resistant to the crops. Okay, guys, that's all we have for now. We're going to take another little break, and we'll see you right after this.